Hey, psychology enthusiasts! Before we dive in, if you love unpacking how psychology hides in plain sight, hit that subscribe button. Let's go deep on something shaping public opinion more than we realize. Can a bad argument still be persuasive if it's delivered by the right person? Most people would say no, but psychology says sometimes yes. And that sometimes is what we're talking about today. This is called the sleeper effect. It's not just about bad arguments being forgotten. It's about how your memory and trust can rebuild belief over time depending on who said it and how much you trusted them. Let me explain. Traditionally, the sleeper effect described something strange. You hear a message from a non-credible source, someone you don't trust, like a biased pundit or a shady ad. At first you reject the message, but later, after some time has passed, the source fades from memory, and the message itself starts to feel more persuasive. You remember the claim, not the clown. That's the classic sleeper effect. But recent research shows there's another version, and it might be even more relevant to our current media environment. It's called the source sleeper effect. Here's how it works. If a credible communicator, someone the audience trusts, delivers a weak argument, the initial impact may be low. You might hear it and think, well, that wasn't very convincing, but over time, as the details of the message fade, what sticks isn't the argument, it's the trust you had in the source. So your opinion doesn't drift away from the message, it drifts toward the source's credibility. And weeks later, when you're recalling how you feel about the issue, you may not remember the logic, but you remember who made you feel safe, smart, or seen. And that's what you base your attitude on. This version of the sleeper effect flips the script. It says, the message doesn't matter as much as the messenger. And in political culture, that's huge. Because let's be honest, how many times do you see someone agree with a weak argument just because it came from a source they like? How many people ignore bad policy proposals, bad data, or even outright nonsense because it was delivered by a leader they trust? This is how cult-like loyalty forms, not from great content, but from great branding. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The research shows that what people remember matters. When people focused on the message arguments, the classic sleeper effect appeared, meaning non-credible sources with strong content became more persuasive later. But when people focused on the communicator, the opposite happened. Credible sources with weak content became more persuasive over time. The difference? Attention. What you focus on during the message shapes what you reconstruct later. And in today's media environment, with fast clips, charismatic hosts, political influencers, and emotionally charged delivery, it's very easy to pay attention to the personality, not the message, and that means we're all more vulnerable to persuasion than we think. So how do you protect yourself? Simple, not easy. Focus on arguments, not aura. Ask, would I still believe this if it came from someone I didn't like? Recognize when you're trusting the speaker instead of the reasoning, because it's not always the truth that persuades us. Sometimes it's the familiar face who said it well, even when they said nothing at all. If this helped you understand a psychological trap you didn't know had a name, give it a like, comment, and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Because people shape power, and psychology explains people. This is P3 Perspective.